On November 10th, 2022, the tranquil rhythm of daily life in the port city of Huacho, Peru, was shattered. Among the bustling activity of fishermen hauling in their catch, an unusual sight captured their attention: a flock of scavenger birds circling with eerie determination. Drawn by a gnawing curiosity, the men moved closer, expecting perhaps a discarded fish or debris washed ashore. Instead, what they uncovered was chilling: a severed human finger buried in the sand, its silver ring glinting ominously in the sunlight. This was no isolated discovery. Strewn across the area were other dismembered remains, grotesquely stripped of internal organs, evidence of a deliberate, calculated act. This haunting revelation would become the first thread in unraveling a harrowing tale of betrayal, obsession, and a shadowy world of organ trafficking, a world as dark as the human hearts that sustain it. Blanca Arellano Gutierrez, a spirited 51-year-old woman from Mexico City, embarked on what she believed was a journey toward love and fulfillment, only to find herself ensnared in a nightmarish trap. Drawn into the digital world during a time of isolation, Blanca sought companionship and connection, unaware of the darkness lurking behind the screen. What began as an innocent search for romance led her down a sinister path that would strip away her safety, her peace, and ultimately her life. Blanca's story is one of trust betrayed, love exploited, and the unfathomable lengths some will go to for unspeakable purposes. Blanca was the heart of her family, her warmth and spirit radiating through every interaction. Her bond with her niece, Carla Arellano, was especially profound, a connection that blurred the lines between family and friendship. They shared more than just blood. They shared moments, laughter, and genuine camaraderie. Blanca's life, though private, was dotted with achievements and passions. A law degree and studies in tourism hinted at her intellectual curiosity, while her love for cycling and exercise reflected her zest for life. Yet, it was her fascination with online gaming that painted a vivid picture of a woman embracing modern avenues to connect. During the isolation of the 2020 pandemic, the vibrant Blanca retreated to the virtual world, seeking solace, community, and perhaps an escape. Little did she know that her quest for connection would lead her into the clutches of danger far beyond her imagination. Seeking solace in the face of solitude, Blanca immersed herself in Fortnite, a global phenomenon that had become a digital haven for countless players during the pandemic. For Blanca, the game wasn't just about battles or building strategies. It was a doorway to a virtual community, a place to meet new faces and escape the walls of isolation. Among the many players she encountered, one stood out: Juan Pablo Villafuerte Pinto, a 37-year-old Peruvian man whose charm and attentiveness quickly caught her attention. What began as light-hearted in-game chats soon blossomed into deeper, more intimate conversations. The virtual divide between them faded as they shared personal stories and laughs, their connection migrating from game servers to daily exchanges on Discord and Facebook. Blanca believed she had found a kindred spirit, unaware of the dark intentions that lurked beneath Juan Pablo's friendly facade. Blanca and Juan's bond grew rapidly, crossing the threshold from casual acquaintances to what seemed like a genuine friendship. On social media, Juan Pablo presented himself as a vibrant and passionate individual, running a Facebook page called Juan Villafuerte Med, where he proudly donned the title of a modern vintage gamer. The unique term intrigued Blanca, drawing her further into his world. She became an active participant in his online community, even inviting him into her own Facebook group, Juegos Retro, dedicated to retro gaming enthusiasts. Their interactions played out for all to see: comments, shared posts, and the occasional affectionate exchange. The most striking testament to their connection came on February 6, 2021, when Juan publicly celebrated Blanca's 50th birthday with a heartfelt video tribute. In it, he fondly referred to her as Blanquita, showcasing a bond that seemed both sincere and affectionate. To outsiders, it appeared as if they had found a meaningful connection, But behind this display of warmth lay a chilling undercurrent that would soon surface. As their interactions grew increasingly personal, Blanca and Juan Pablo's relationship blossomed into a virtual romance. Their connection transcended the barriers of geography, with Blanca confiding in her beloved niece, Carla, about the depth of her feelings. She spoke of Juan with glowing admiration, describing him as the man of her dreams and expressing her yearning to bridge the physical distance that separated them. For Blanca, the emotional bond they had nurtured over 2 years was too profound to let go. Though the miles between Mexico City and Peru posed a logistical challenge, Blanca was determined to overcome it, driven by a love she believed was worth any sacrifice. Little did she know that this leap of faith would lead her into a trap from which there would be no return. In January 2022, the couple eagerly planned for Juan to visit Blanca in Mexico, a long-awaited step in their budding romance. But for reasons Juan never fully explained, the trip fell through, leaving Blanca disappointed yet undeterred. By mid-year, her yearning to be with him grew insurmountable. Love and impatience fueled her resolve to take matters into her own hands. Despite financial hardships, Blanca was determined to make the journey to Peru and solidify their relationship. Her sacrifices were heartbreaking. She sold nearly everything she held dear: her car, vital to her livelihood, her beloved bicycle, which symbolized her zest for life, and various personal belongings that carried sentimental value. With her savings in hand, Blanca embarked on a journey she believed would lead her to happiness, blind to the ominous storm awaiting her on foreign shores. On July 22, 2022, Blanca set out on the most significant journey of her life. With the money earned from selling her treasured possessions and her heart full of hope, she boarded a flight to Peru, ready to leave behind her old life for the promise of love. Her arrival at Jorge Chavez International Airport in the early hours of July 28 marked the beginning of what she thought would be a romantic adventure. Juan Pablo welcomed her warmly, playing the role of a perfect host. Together, they visited iconic landmarks, soaked in breathtaking views, and indulged in moments that felt like scenes from a fairy tale. Each day, Blanca shared her excitement with her niece, Carla, recounting the wonders of her trip and gushing about Juan's kindness and charm. For Blanca, it seemed like a dream come true, but every fairy tale has a dark side, and hers was waiting just around the corner. Everything seemed idyllic. "I'm so happy," she said, praising Juan's kindness, wit, and affection. He was everything she had fantasized about, her dream man made real. Juan reciprocated her affection with generous gifts and took her on a variety of romantic outings. Blanca was smitten. Her online presence also remained active, with her latest live video game stream posted on November 6th. The initial joy of Blanca's move to Peru was short-lived and tinged with elements that puzzled her family. Blanca had mentioned purchasing a Peruvian mobile phone to stay in contact with Juan while he was away for his studies, yet strangely, she never shared the number with her relatives. On Monday, November 7th, there was an unsettling silence. She didn't send any messages, didn't make any calls, and was suspiciously absent from her social networks. For someone as attached to her phone as Blanca, this behavior raised immediate red flags with her family. Growing increasingly concerned, her family tried to communicate. Her niece, Carla, sent a message to Juan on Facebook, anxiously seeking any information about her aunt's sudden and inexplicable disappearance. But the answer they got back was not what they had expected. Juan's response only deepened the family's worries. He claimed that he hadn't heard from Blanca in days, suggesting that she had left him due to dissatisfaction with their life together. According to Juan, Blanca had grown bored and decided to head back to Mexico. Making her way to Lima for a departing flight, he ventured a guess that Blanca's phone might have run out of battery, accounting for her lack of communication. While his words carried a note of sadness and resignation, they also left an unsettling gap. The story didn't completely align with Blanca's past communications, where she had expressed consistent happiness and satisfaction with Juan and their relationship. Carla and the rest of the family were left with more questions than answers, their concerns intensifying with each passing moment of silence from Blanca. Sirens blared in Carla's mind. She chose to publicize her growing concerns, taking to Twitter to mobilize a search for her missing aunt. She not only issued a plea for help, but also outlined the narrative of Blanca's move to Peru to live with Juan, implying he was the last person known to have seen her. It was a thinly veiled accusation, pointing to Juan as potentially knowing more than he was letting on. The social media plea gained traction rapidly. Prompted by the online outcry, the family officially filed a missing persons report. At this time, the Peruvian police had little to act upon. Blanca was an adult, and there was no concrete evidence to suggest that a crime had even taken place. She had traveled to Peru willingly, and without signs of coercion or foul play, the authorities had limited avenues for immediate action. However, the landscape of the investigation took a sudden and dramatic turn just 2 days later, altering the course of events in a way that nobody could have anticipated. On November 10th, just 3 days into the official search for Blanca, local authorities received a deeply unsettling call that would change the trajectory of the investigation. Fishermen along the shore of Huacho beach had stumbled upon a grisly scene. Human remains were scattered along the sand, starting with a severed finger and followed by an arm and a head. Scavenger birds had already begun their grim feast. Authorities were quick to respond. Police secured the area, and forensic experts conducted their meticulous examinations. The condition of the remains suggested a deliberate effort to prevent identification. The face and fingertips had been skillfully dissected. Despite the challenges posed by this gruesome act, experts were able to determine 3 key factors. First, the remains belonged to a woman estimated to be in her 40s. Second, her fingerprints were not in RENIAC's records, Peru's National Identification Registry, indicating that she was likely a foreign citizen. Though the remains could not be positively identified on the spot, the evidence led many, including the investigators, to speculate. Could these remains belong to Blanca? Had her journey for love ended in this horrific manner? And if so, what role, if any, had Juan played in this dreadful outcome? The third key discovery of a silver ring on one of the severed fingers immediately drew investigators' attention. This detail was alarmingly consistent with Blanca's missing persons case. Her family, already anguished, sent over photographs for confirmation. The ring in the pictures matched the one found on the finger. Though this grim confirmation brought a wave of sorrow to Blanca's relatives, formal identification still awaited DNA analysis. On November 16th, the family made the bleak journey to Lima to assist with the required DNA tests. Meanwhile, the pressing questions remained. Who was responsible for this gruesome act, and how had it been executed? The prevailing theory was that the murder occurred elsewhere, and the dismembered remains were subsequently discarded on the beach. Then another shocking discovery unfolded on November 11th, at the dry mouth of the river at Trolleos Beach. Police found a decapitated torso that unmistakably belonged to the same dismembered body found days before. Chillingly, all internal organs had been surgically removed. It was a good, clean job, and the person who made those cuts had to be someone with medical knowledge, and Juan had been studying medicine. This macabre detail only drove investigators to intensify their efforts to unravel this grim mystery. By November 12th, public scrutiny had shifted decisively towards Juan Pablo, largely due to tweets from Carla. She not only appealed to the community to help find her missing aunt, but she explicitly cited Juan as the last person to see Blanca in Peru. His image as a suspect was now solidified in the eyes of the public. Juan Pablo attempted to deflect these allegations by taking to social media. He said Blanca was a homeless person in Peru, describing himself as a kind-hearted person who offered her money and shelter. He also dismissed their relationship as romantic, saying that Blanca was mentally unstable and that she simply made this up. Carla, however, swiftly shut down these claims, and the online battle of words ensued. Carla ardently defended her aunt, while Juan Pablo employed every tactic to remove himself from any responsibility. Sensing the growing tension and uncooperative behavior, the public prosecutor's office moved swiftly. On November 13th, they announced plans to accelerate the investigation by traveling to Huacho. Here, they would gather more information and formally summoned Juan Pablo for questioning.
¿Dónde está?
No lo sé, señor.
¿Tú no has ido?
No he sido, señor.
¿Quién ha sido?
No lo sé, señor. Y voy a demostrar mi inocencia hasta el final.
¿Cómo?
A través de mi defensa, a través de decir la verdad de los hechos.
Le faltan las huellas dactilares. ¿Qué pasó?
No lo sé, señor. No lo sé.
On November 14th, he reported to the Criminal Investigation Department. His stony demeanor continued. He exercised his right to remain silent and declined to cooperate with investigators. He did, however, claim he had no romantic relationship with Blanca. Other people who lived close to where Juan and Blanca lived were also interviewed. The landlord of their house confirmed that he and Blanca were romantically involved for several months, a claim backed by other neighbors. Additionally, a woman from the same building revealed that Juan had bought large black bin bags from the shop just days before Blanca went missing, suggesting that they could have been used to move the body. Frustrated but undeterred by Juan's evasive tactics, the prosecutor overseeing the case took the next logical step, investigating the home of Juan, which he had shared with Blanca. On the 15th of November, the authorities conducted a thorough search of Juan's apartment. During the search, they uncovered a Mexican flag, women's clothing, suitcases, and remnants of hair. And most notably, multiple areas of the apartment showed signs of blood. After this, the horrific images were shared with the media and then given to the public. Luminol tests, a substance known for illuminating the presence of blood traces, even when efforts have been made to clean them, brought to light the fact that despite attempts to conceal his actions, blood residue was still detectable on various surfaces. These included the bed, floor, walls, kitchen, bathroom, and laundry room, as well as various items such as scissors, bags, and other utensils. The severity of the findings in his home left little doubt in the minds of the investigators or the public. He was heavily involved in the disappearance of Blanca. Juan's attorney was in a precarious position, as the blood evidence and personal items of Blanca found at the residence had irrefutably connected him to her. The results of the DNA tests on the blood and hair samples were still pending, but the circumstantial evidence was overwhelming. In the afternoon of November 17th, an arrest warrant was handed down by the Peruvian legal authorities for Juan Pablo, who was the prime and only suspect in the missing case of Blanca. However, Juan had already fled. The situation was further complicated by the revelation that he had an identical twin, raising concerns within the victim's family and the authorities that he might impersonate his twin, thus allowing the actual culprit to escape justice. Luckily, later that same day, the National Police located Juan Pablo in a section of Villa El Salvador, a district in the south. He was in a house where he was living with his new partner. During the arrest, the officers questioned Juan to find out if he was aware of the arrest warrant against him, which he flatly denied. He also again denied any involvement in Blanca's disappearance. He was then transported to the main office of the National Directorate of Criminal Investigation and placed under an initial 72-hour detention. Juan Pablo's life was now the main topic of conversation in the national media. He gave conflicting statements during interrogation. He said he wasn't involved with Blanca and wasn't near the area where she disappeared. In court, he said the case was hurting his family and his studies, He claimed to be innocent. He expressed wishes for peace for the family of the victim and said that the police should find the real culprit. The case took a darker turn when investigators discovered a series of videos on Juan's TikTok account featuring human organs, specifically a stomach, a pancreas, and a brain, exactly the organs missing from the body found on the beach. What was already a brutal crime now looked like it could also involve organ trafficking. The media also reported statements from a medical professor who called for his expulsion for allegedly trying to trade human organs. Security footage showed Juan Pablo buying chemical cleaning supplies on the day he claimed to be at his other residence, away from the crime. His last Google searches were about how to reset a mobile phone, suggesting he was trying to wipe a device and launder it. Another significant element was that Juan was absent from his biology classes on Monday 7th, Tuesday 8th, and Wednesday 9th of November. This coincides with the days on which the last evidence of Blanca's life was found. He is currently in custody while the legal process plays out. I think it's harrowing to believe that Juan had planned this from the very start. Years in the making, he wanted to harvest the organs of a woman, and to do so he started a love affair online years prior. Then to get her to eventually leave her country, her friends and her family, all of her safety to be alone with you, where she inevitably went missing. Terrifying. During the initial legal hearings, Blanca's family shared previously unheard information. They said that her demeanor had changed in the final days of communication. Her tone was subdued, as though she was afraid of being overheard. The prosecutor also revealed that on November 3rd, days before she went missing, Blanca had called the airline to ask for a refund on her return ticket to Mexico, but was told it was impossible. She was living on a meager 80 soles a week, provided by Juan. Also, the couple didn't see each other daily. Juan was away at university for 2 days a week. During his absence, Blanca was forced to remain hidden in their shared room due to the landlord's one-person occupancy rule. Their living arrangement was not working. The prosecutor also introduced new evidence. Bleach and another cleaning agent called Pine Sol were found in Juan's bathroom. Additionally, the prosecutor highlighted that the discovered body had precise cuts where the face and vital organs were removed. Such surgical precision could only have been executed by someone with medical training. Juan took the opportunity to defend himself, arguing that he was being targeted due to his medical studies. He insisted he was not in Huacho during the days of Blanca's disappearance. As for the unsettling videos, Juan claimed that his TikTok channel was intended solely to help other students with their exams. He portrayed himself as a victim of circumstance. As the legal proceedings unfolded, forensic results confirmed that the body parts discovered indeed belonged to Blanca. Consequently, Juan's charges escalated from disappearance to murder. The prosecution's case continued to solidify. Evidence revealed that Juan had intentionally disabled the GPS on his phone to evade location tracking, but the case was far from closed. The prosecution disclosed that Juan had an accomplice in his best friend, Edison Amir Flores, who owned a cargo motorbike. On the evening of November 7th, both men were seen using the bike to buy 8 large bin bags, 2 packs of cigarettes, and biscuits from a local shop near the crime scene. 30 minutes later, Juan informed his landlord that he'd parked a motorbike in the building's hallway. The following day, he purchased disinfectants and subsequently stopped attending his university classes. Although Edison admitted to these actions, he denied any knowledge of a murder. But by this point, the case against Juan had amassed more than 60 pieces of corroborating evidence. Faced with the overwhelming weight of the facts, Juan decided it was time to come clean. The accused admitted that he was in the city of Huacho at the time of the crime. Juan said he arrived on the 6th of November at the room he shared with Blanca. He rang the doorbell, but nobody answered. This was inconsistent with the version given by his friend. Juan emphasized his cooperation with the police from day one. He also complained about the harsh conditions of his detention, including sleeping on the floor next to criminals and not being able to bathe. However, these statements did little to sway the court's opinion. On November 22nd, Juan Pablo was ordered to be held in custody for 9 months as the prime suspect in the murder of Blanca Arellano. In a letter, Juan expressed that he didn't want his family to suffer further or be treated like an animal himself. His defense team filed an appeal for his release, arguing that the evidence against him was insufficient. However, the judge disagreed and that Juan posed a significant flight risk. On November 23rd, Blanca's family set up an altar to remember her. Through her niece Carla's Twitter account, they confirmed that the body found on the beach in Huacho was that of her aunt. Images of white floral arrangements were visible as Carla urged Peruvian authorities to ensure justice was served in her aunt Blanca's murder. She hopes the trial sets a precedent for punishing those who commit such crimes. Carla also expressed gratitude to the media and the authorities for keeping Juan Pablo behind bars. This one has been truly sickening. The brutal behavior and the sheer disregard for human life are truly abhorrent. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Blanca's story, a tale of love, betrayal, and unthinkable tragedy. Stories like these remind us of the complexities of human nature and the darkness that sometimes hides behind a smile. If this story gripped you as much as it did me, make sure to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation alive. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Together, we can shine a light on stories that deserve to be told. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.